join us.
Well, Brennan suggested we get started, so let's get started.
All right, let's do this. So welcome, hello to the few people who are joining us, and I know that we'll be broadcasting this video later again too, so anybody who joins us by video later. I want to welcome you again to one of our conversations that we have been gathering and posting aimed at talking with local law students and those who have just graduated and those who are very new in their career. For those of you who have not really seen these videos before, a brief recap: the purpose is really to provide a conversation about what careers are like in various areas of great interest for people, talk with experienced attorneys and judges about what their career paths have looked like, and especially now during this pandemic crisis, how their field of law has been impacted, where you see future developments and needs, because things are changing all the time. So I would love to welcome our guests. Our first one I'm going to introduce is Jane Flaherty. And Jane, I'm so sorry if I just mispronounced your last name. I was going kind of quickly there, but please.
Sounded lovely.
Okay, good. So a little bit of background. Jane is an experienced estate planning attorney with her own private practice and over 25 years in the field. I believe it was since 1989. Jane has been helping hundreds of people create and navigate their estate plans. It's through the probate court, personal trust departments, the past with Key and NCD, individual fiduciary work, and currently, as I mentioned, experienced estate planning attorney in her private practice. She's always had a burning desire to help families take control and ease the burden on loved ones. To mention a sad time after experiencing the loss of both parents in the same year and understanding what she and her family went through in administering their estates. She wants to help others avoid that kind of experience and that planning ahead, and know that you and your family will be taken care of is something that's been really important to her. So Jane's motto for practice is "Life is uncertain, control what you can." Hopefully I covered that okay. Please feel free to fill in later if there's anything that I missed. But I also want to welcome Dawn Mcfadden of Mcfadden Bushnell, small law firm that helps clients to plan for the future, whatever that might bring. Dawn's professional practice is focused on elder care law, special needs, veterans benefits, and real estate planning members. Dawn is also a member of besides the Bar Association, of course, of the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, both national and Ohio, as well as Elder Council and Wealth Council. Dawn has been in state and federal trial courts throughout the country, including Florida and Ohio, and has represented and advised clients in appeals. She is also an experienced speaker. I know that she has given numerous presentations and CLEs in her practice area, but also on the risks and rewards of using social media for both attorneys and law students. It's a really interesting topic as well. So welcome, Jane and Dawn. We are both so pleased that you could make it here today. So I would love to start. Jane, is there anything that I missed in my intro of you that you would love to share with the students?
No, it's weird to sit and have people talk about your history. So no, it's fine.
I'm sure.
Let's go straight to the students. So I see Audrey and Max and Shmuel. Is that right, Shmuel? And then someone on the phone. And what we'd like to do is have you introduce yourselves, tell us what year you're in or if you're out, what school you went to, and what you're doing right now, so we have an idea with whom we're speaking.
If I could make a suggestion also, folks, you can show your video.
That'd be great.
So go ahead and do that, and I've unmuted everyone.
Yay! Hi, guys. Much better.
This is so much friendlier.
Yes, it's so much friendlier. Shmuel, is that how you say your name?
Yeah, you got it right.
Shmuel, okay. All right. But now I can't read your names, they're so little. Okay, Audrey, Max. So Shmuel, why don't you start? Tell me about yourself.
I'm a foreign trained lawyer, actually. And I'm one exam away from completing my LLM at Cleveland State.
Oh, excellent. Excellent, cool.
I'm practicing in San Cleveland, but I also have an interest in estate stuff because it's so closely related.
Okay, and what about you, Audrey?
I am finishing up my 1L year at Case Western. And I really don't know anything about estate planning, but I enjoyed property class, and so I wanted to learn more.
Wow. 1L is hard enough without COVID. So this is
Yeah.
okay. Max?
Hello. Yeah, sorry about the video. I'm on the road. But I am a 2L at Cleveland Marshall. We're kind of currently in the midst of finals, so kind of nose deep in the books at the moment. I'll actually be starting with a new firm in a couple weeks, and they've expressed that they have interest in expanding their estate planning role, and I have some experience working in estate planning with some firms, just clerking and interning.
What firm?
I have been with my father's an estate planner with Cabbage, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did a little bit with Dorkin and Bernstein on the east side, and I'll be starting with Thresher, Dinsmore, and Dolan in a few weeks.
Holy. You got some good firms behind you. Good for you.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I've had some good experience. My most recent role was terminated just due to the coronavirus pandemic and whatnot, just due to needs and demands and stuff. So I'm excited to start with TDD in a couple weeks.
That's wonderful. All right, and whoever is Mr. or Mrs. 440-596-13, we'll call you 1366.
Jane, you know me. This is Mary Groth. Hello, friend.
Mary, how are you?
I'm listening in on the phone, if you don't mind. But I just wanted to show my support. Love what you're doing, and so happy that we have law students joining us today. Thanks.
Oh, you're very welcome. You guys, if you don't know Mary Groth, in 1987, she was my first boss at the Cleveland Bar Association. And we're still friends today, and I'm not doing the math how long that's been.
It's been a great long relationship, Jane.
It's been lovely. So what we did, not knowing what we were doing today, we were asked just a couple days ago, we put together a PowerPoint of who we are, a background of who we are, and our thought processes in each of us getting into our practice and why we chose this area, and also some basic estate planning things in case that's something you're interested in. And I think we'll go to that PowerPoint unless anyone has a specific question they'd like us to answer first. No? Okay, guys, I like it's just us, so we're going to do that. And Dawn, I'm running the PowerPoint, and I am not a tech person really well. So if this goes, you've got Dawn, and she's been through this. She knows the whole thing. So let me figure out how to share my screen. Oh.
There we go.
Terrence, I mean, not Terrence. How do I share my screen, guys? There we go. I gotcha. Nope. Hopefully
there's a button at the bottom of your Zoom window that just says share screen.
Right. So first I have to open my PowerPoint. That would be helpful. It was open, but I think I delayed it. Here we go. Let me get that up. Let me make it a slideshow. Can you guys see it?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, because I didn't hit share screen. Okay, hold on one second.
And then when you hit share screen, it'll ask you what to share.
Thank you, because I have to make it little so I can get to you. I'll get there, guys. I'll get there. Okay, share screen.
Hey, that looks good. Yep.
There we go.
Now
Did it show up? Oh, I can't see it. Isn't that odd? Okay, it's there?
I think
yes,
there it is.
Yeah. Can you see the PowerPoint?
Now I can. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Well, obviously that's me and Dawn. There we are. And what we're going to do is start with a disclaimer, which Dawn, my former corporate person, is so good at. Please do it, Dawn. Go for it.
I'm just going to give our general disclaimer that we usually include on our PowerPoints, that this presentation, the written and as well as the verbal part, is not intended to provide legal, accounting, financial, tax, or any other professional services for any specific situation, and it's intended for general educational purposes.
Yeah, and you guys are in law, you're going to get stuck with these all the time. So disclaimer, our background, a little more on why we're in where we are, our law practice, and then what you can do today. So I passed the bar in '89, as Jessica said. I clerked at the Bar Association, which I mentioned earlier, then worked with the judges of the probate court, and then did work in trust departments here in Cleveland at National City and Key. Then I went on in inactive status for 10 years and reactivated my license and opened my own law practice in 2015, which is very different than Dawn's path.
A little bit. So I graduated from Case Western back in 2002, sat for the bar in July of 2002, and you get waived in later. So I was first admitted in New York, but then I moved back to Ohio. I didn't wait long enough to waive in, so I had to take the Ohio bar. I then moved down to North Carolina, and when I was in North Carolina, a lot of the work I was doing was in Florida, so I was able to waive in North Carolina, but I had to sit for the Florida bar 12 years after I graduated from law school. And then I vowed to never ever take another bar exam. So I worked at Jones Day between 2002 and 2013. And when I was there, I was not doing this type of work. I was doing product liability. I did some consumer reporting defense work, various things. And when I was at Womble Carlisle, my focus was actually all on expert witness work. So my sister and I decided to open our own law firm. And that's when we switched to and I became part of Mcfadden Bushnell.
Okay. So the practice of law in estate planning, you really have, actually in any area, but we're limiting it to estate planning, which is today's topic. You really need to know your why. It's true in life, especially now. Know why you're doing it so you have that motivation. The operations and support systems in the practice, and networking ethically in any practice of law. So why estate planning versus all other areas of law? Well, the first thing you want to do is, can you make money in whatever area of law you're going to do? Do you know the area? What's the emotional cost of that particular area of law to you? Some things like personal injury, or for me, I don't do guardianships. It hurts my feelings, so I don't do that part. So you have to do what works for you. The key is to find what you love to do and then work it. So we're going to try to help you find it. So why was estate planning a great choice for us? Dawn, you want to take this?
Absolutely. Speaking personally for myself, you know, I worked for big giant clients at a big giant firm, or two big giant firms, and ultimately that wasn't what it wasn't why I went to law school necessarily, or where I felt that I was able to really make a difference for people. And that was something that estate planning and elder law really, I think, does offer. Everybody needs this type of an attorney. We're able to help people both during their lives when we're planning, but also as they're preparing for after their death. Larger law firms are generally not servicing clients and dealing with estate planning. In fact, when I was at Jones Day, they got rid of their entire estate planning department because that just wasn't what their focus was anymore. They were wanting to go after Fortune 500 clients and not to offer that type of service. We have found a lot of satisfaction in this, and it's a way that we can help people take control of their lives and plan for things that they can't control for. I find myself thinking a lot about the serenity prayer, where we have to accept the things we cannot change and change the things we can. And I think that's a lot of what our job is.
It is. So putting our own law practice together, I've been out a long time, and only in the last 5 years have I run my own law practice. Running a business is very different than the law. And Dawn, you were in with large corporations for quite some time, and now you two are on your own. Granted, it's your sister, but it's the two of you setting it together. And so when Dawn and I put this together, we know no one succeeds pretty much in anything on their own. However, it's of course all up to you. And so you have to figure out how to set yourself up to succeed. So we'll talk a little bit about technology, organizations, and people. So the first thing is solo and small firm attorneys really need backup. They need backup attorneys. They need insurance. I want to talk about Dawn and I for a second. The small and solo firm, that's actually a section of the Cleveland Bar Association. And it's, oh, that's not the one when we met in, was it, Dawn? We met in Women in the Law.
I think that's right.
We met in Women in the Law, is how Dawn and I met. And my husband is a elder law and estate planning attorney as well, although he went to Case Western and I went to Marshall. And he's my backup, but we realized the two of us travel together if we ever travel again. So we're going to need backup. And Dawn and her sister, My husband knew them from elder law things. I knew them from the Bar Association, and the four of us just worked so beautifully together. So they're our backup, and it has helped us greatly with our mental health, with technical problems, with legal problems, with strategizing. So have a backup of someone that's preferably in your area of law, but if not, any attorney running their own practice, that's a business. If you don't have a business degree, you're going to be learning it fast. So attorneys. Then, of course, insurance. You want to talk about insurance a little, Dawn?
Sure, and insurance it's professional liability insurance, but there's also other insurance that everybody who's running a business has to have. You know, if you're having if you have a business space, you know, you're going to need premises liability. If you're working out of your home, you're going to make sure your homeowner's insurance is aware that you're working out of your home, and our clients there. What kind of coverage do you need to make sure that your clients are protected and that you're protected?
Right. And Max has it easy on this one. He goes to a firm and they take care of everything.
That's right. That's right.
Take it out of their pay. Software and technology we'll talk about a little. IOLTAs is the interest on lawyers' trust accounts, and taking CLEs that are in the area that you really want to learn about and join that. And Dawn knows some resources about starting law firms and different checklists.
And that's right. When my sister and I were looking to start our own law firm, we knew we weren't going to create it again. We weren't going to invent an idea of how to be a law firm. We were going to take advantage of resources that are out there. And there's various bar associations. I know both the Akron Bar Association and the Ohio State Bar Association have some great online resources that are just kind of, here's a great giant checklist on the things that you should be doing for your law firm. Here at the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association, we have a small and solo section where that's one of the big things we try and do is offer some of that guidance and be available to help. So when folks are starting on their own, they're not on their own. They have each other. That was one of the big adjustments. When I was at a big law firm, you know, when you had a question, when you didn't know what something was new, you could bop down the hall and talk with the attorney down the hall or the partner down the hall and run something past them. That's something we have to create for ourselves. And that's something we've done, as Jane said. Jane's one of my people who I'll call when I have a situation or speak with her and Lauren and get their input. And we're going to talk more about some of this, so I probably shouldn't go into too much.
Right, I was thinking, wait a minute, is that next? So professional organizations is a lot. You already have friends from law school and other organizations in your life, and you want to keep them. They will be so helpful to you, not only in referrals and things we'll talk about later, but you need support systems. Professional organizations, the Cleveland Bar, as you know, I worked at the Cleveland Bar when I was a law student, and I'm still 31 years later active in the Cleveland Bar Association. It's fabulous. When I needed bigger support.
Love it, Jane. Thumbs up.
Jessica. But the Ohio State Bar Association is a really active estate planning section that has a chat room, and I can log in and get thoughts on how people are approaching certain problems online. And that's something I can do at 2 in the morning where I'm not calling or seeing people. The ABA does as well. And Dawn had mentioned the Akron Bar Association. Wherever you are, there's different types of bar associations. But the Cleveland Bar, if you're going to start your own practice or go into a small firm, they have a what if protocol, and it's on their website. And Jessica, I'm sorry I didn't ask you ahead of time to do this, but it's on the Cleveland Bar's website. It's really helpful in getting your thoughts together, especially if you're going into estate planning. Estate planning is, if I'm not here tomorrow, who's my backup? How can I represent my clients well if I don't have my backup, which is why I have my spouse, and then I have Dawn and her sister Chris, because I have depth. I have people on my bench if something happens to me on that. This what if protocol is a several page document. Jessica, can non-members get it?
You know, I'm not sure. I would be able to check. Mary, if you're still on the phone as a membership question, is that something that you could speak to?
I do not know if she's still on the phone. Oh, there she is.
I will try. I think, it's one of the things that we offer through our legal department. And my gut is you do not have to be a member to get that. It is tended to be helpful for any lawyer.
Yeah, that's fabulous. I think you can get it off the website, which is, and the reason I'm just suggesting it is it'll start, where do you have your banks? Who's your software provider? It helps you get things organized for you for the business part on it. Not the law part, you're still on your own there, but the business part. So with the law part, you really want to join a section and different sections. And the Cleveland Bar Association has done amazing work. Mary Groth, whose voice you heard, but not the picture, she has been involved with the 3 Rs, going into elementary schools and high schools and talking to students. And Jessica's involved with mock trials and students. The Cleveland Bar is so involved with students at every level. On here, there is something there to help you. And I think, and I'm doing it again, saying it out loud before I ask, but I thought there was a part where students were invited. I know in Women in the Law section, we have women students come in often as guests in our sections, but I'm not sure otherwise.
Well, let me plug for the Cleveland Metro Bar. All law students can be members for free, so you get a free membership. You are allowed to participate in sections, and even our CLE programs are open to you at no cost. I think the only time that there is a cost is if there's a lunch or some sort of meal, but you're allowed to pretty much participate in everything we do. And if you have any questions, you can call me or email me at the Bar Association. Our membership team is happy to help and get you engaged however you'd like to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jane, you mentioned the mock trial and 3 Rs and a lot of our other programs. Almost all of them are open for full participation with law students. So even if you're a 1L, you know, and you even haven't had constitutional law yet, we love to have you on board with the 3 Rs. Mock trial was just open to law students to be panelists taking part in the statewide competitions. So no matter what your level, 1L through 3L, whatever position you're in, we would find a really good home for you. If you want to give back with your time with our community and pro bono programs. And it's a great way to learn too. So, you know, we've got most of our programs match you with more experienced attorneys, and you get to meet with them and learn from them as well. So Mary and I are always happy to get you connected.
Right, so we're talking to the, is that a question? Oh, okay. And then besides the professional organizations that we spoke about, there are other things that you'd like to do. And Dawn's going to talk about that for a second.
Well, I think another thing is the thought of opening your own law firm, even after I had been out practicing law for 13 years or 14 years, it's daunting. And how can I hold myself out as an expert in any area? And part of that is creating a support group. For my sister and I, what we did was we aligned with a membership organization called Elder Council that provided significant education, but also document drafting software and a phenomenal network of folks, as Jane mentioned. Elder Council focuses on elder law, which can often include Medicaid asset protection planning, but it's also just estate planning with focusing on issues more relevant for elder individuals. Being able to, when you have that question at 2 in the morning, shoot an email out to a listserv of other elder law attorneys from across the country, and quickly getting responses for things that it would be impossible for you to know it all right away. It was amazing. Wealth Council is a similar company. Now these are, you know, you're paying to be a part of them, but you're getting something out of it. And it might be something that you're not necessarily staying with that type of a company for years and years. You're creating your own software or your own documents, and you may eventually move on to not need that type of support. But you'll often find that it's irreplaceable. And so far, we've been practicing in this area about 4 years now, and we find these very helpful. Organizations like NALA, which is the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, has been a wonderful resource for us. And it's one of the things, we have been very happy with the type of attorneys we get to interact with in the estate planning world and the elder law planning world, like Jane and Lauren. But it's just a whole different world than the litigation folks I ran in circles with when I was in my prior life. Facebook groups is another thing. I'm a member of there's a great Facebook group called Boss Ladies Esquire, and it's all women who own their own law firms and from all different practices of law. And there's offshoots. There'll be ones that are just estate planning, but again, it becomes kind of that firm of people that you would otherwise walk down the hall and talk to. Well, now you've got these great folks out there. So LinkedIn groups, listservs. While the idea of having your own or joining with a few other people and having a law firm can be daunting, there are wonderful support systems out there, and you just find what's the right one for you and the practice area you're going into.
And we're in a different place. Clearly, the two of us both chose to open our own firms after we had at least 15 years experience. These guys, you know, 1Ls, 3Ls, you know, there's choices here. It's nice to hear from, I guess, solos who have done large firm, small firm, medium firm on their own first, but get the flavor. The bar will give you that exposure on it. So networking ethically. So the start of the day, you are going to get everything done. And by the end of the day, you can't wait for 5 o'clock. That's what that is. So we're going to talk about getting business. So the first thing you have to figure out is know yourself. Know thyself. Who are you? What do you like? Whoever the first year student, I don't even know how you're thinking right now. I remember my first year. And the third year student, oh my God. Anyway, you have to think about what you like, what you don't like, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, how you're going to get along with people. Do you prefer working at night or during the day? Are you collaborative? Estate planning attorneys tend to be very collaborative, and maybe trial attorneys are more loner kind of things. Look at what works more in your personality. Think of your own confidence level, what will make you happy. Believe me, you have to figure out how you're going to enjoy and be happy in what you're doing, because you won't be able to stick with it. You won't be able to get people to refer to you, and you won't make yourself or your clients happy. So think about that and your commitment to it.
One, and I'm gonna, before we move on to the next one, I was gonna say, that introvert extrovert one, that was huge for us. My sister and I are both introverts in our heart of heart, and we decided when we opened our own law firm, all right, well, that might be who we are, but we need to learn to do the extrovert as well. We need to, and it was on us to do that. It was to joining the networking organizations. It was getting out there. It was, you're no longer allowed to show up to a CLE and just wait in the corner until everything's done. That's not how you meet the attorneys who are going to become your referral sources. So it's important to know who you are, and then realize and learn what you need to do to address maybe the places you're not as strong in or that you don't enjoy as much.
Mm-hmm. So when we listed what not to practice, sometimes that helps you figure it out. So for me, I knew things I didn't want to do, which helped me figure it out. When I started choosing why estate planning, I actually called Mary at the Bar Association because I decided I would start my practice up. And my husband does elder law and estate planning, and me, of course, two of us, I'm thinking, okay, 2 kids in college, how do I make more money? Why don't I choose the areas of law around estate planning so he can do those and I can do something else? And so I went to the lawyer referral service, which is what I did as a law student first there, to find out what areas are in the most demand. And I really did look into those areas that were in the most demand, and none of them, it hurt my stomach. I mean, I tried to figure out if I could learn it or pick it up, and I had no interest in the law, and I had to concede finally, no, estate planning is at the cellular level for me. I had done it very much so. My husband and I have figured out how to do it. We don't work together. We have 2 separate practices, very different people, but it brings me satisfaction and joy, and I really have an intuitive knowledge about it. And so family law, I don't want to do it. Human rights law, I think it's so important that people are doing it, but I can't do it. So maybe start eliminating the parts that you don't like. Now, you're 1Ls, 2Ls, and 3Ls. You may not have exposure yet to everything, but the bar can give you that exposure. Go to a section meeting, talk to a lawyer, get an introduction and talk to a lawyer in any of those areas. Find out what it is. I don't know if you can get on a listserv with the Ohio State Bar Association being a student just to read what some of the people are saying or how they behave. But knowing what you don't practice is really as important as knowing what you want to practice.
And what's also really important, and I'm sorry if I'm going to speak ahead of something we say elsewhere.
It's like, what's next? Hold on. Oh, okay.
Okay, maybe it's a little bit of the same. You know, one of the things that we felt was so important to us when we started our firm was to focus, was not to be, sometimes you'll hear people use the expression of door law, where whatever walks in the door, they're going to do that type of law. I would never sleep at night with that, because there is no way that you can have the expertise you need to do the law, to be able to provide the service to your clients if you have to learn it every time somebody walks in the door. And frankly, I'm not going to refer work to people who do that type of law, because I'm not going to be comfortable that they know that. And so, and frankly, you know, there was a great podcast that we listened to when we were starting. There's a law firm or a podcast called Lawpreneur Radio, like entrepreneur, but it's Lawpreneur. And it's all about all different angles of starting up a smaller solo law firm. And what they kept saying throughout it all the time was, a niche makes you rich. You know, you figure out what it is you're going to do and do it well, and that's how you're really going to be successful.
Right, and I agree with that. I have many solo practitioners who I know who try to take everything in the door. I've seen some of their documents because I review documents of prior attorneys, and I won't refer to a general person. I need someone who has that depth and that background, because when you refer, you need to make a reputation. And so you need to really think through that. And I know money is a big issue and you don't know who's coming to you, but imagine someone coming to you, and let's say you picked criminal law, and imagine Max, who's doing estate planning, gets a criminal law. He's not going to take it. He loves the money, but it turns out that Shmuel wants to do criminal law. So he calls him and they start building this relationship on it. And sometimes you just have to look for the long term in your plan and not the short term. And it gets hard sometimes with money, but that's all I can say. So we talked about knowing why, and if you ever have a minute, I love this part, and we ran the video when I did that seminar, Networking Ethically at the Bar, but this is Simon Sinek's Know Your Why, and I'll just leave it to you on knowing your why, especially the 1L right now, because Audrey, I think, I remember my second year of law school, I went to my parents and my brother was there, and he's like, what's going on with you? And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to continue law school. This is like, it's not fun. It's hard. I don't know. And he's like, well, you're halfway there. You know, what was your why on the whole thing? And it really makes you think through it. So anyway, I caution all of you guys, urge you to go see Simon Sinek's Start With Why. Okay. So Dawn and I spoke a great deal about who we refer to and why we refer to it. And when I was in law school, they didn't talk a lot about getting your own business. There weren't many solo practitioners. You always were to go to a firm, work for the government, or work for a judge. And so that's not the world anymore. It's just not. There's so many smaller firms, some opened by people like us who have worked a long time, and some you got to open it because you don't have a job. So networking is working. It's not people really have to work. And Dawn and her introverted sister work it. And hopefully I work it as well. So you have to be active and maintain your network, be disciplined, do your homework, expand your impact, network up, which is what you're doing right now. You're talking to lawyers who are many years ahead of you on it, not just your classmates at the virtual bar. And when you help people or ask for help, make it easy for them to say yes. So think through how it would benefit the person you're talking to first. So you need to work on your people skills, just reading and really thinking. I mean, it's so hard in law school to do this, but all those people you're in class with, they are going to be your colleagues. So find some common ground. We're all more alike than we are different. Meet people where they are. So just today, I think I was in 4 different places, emotionally, depending on where I was. And my family, all of us are during this period of time. They are built rapport. So it's more important to be interesting. Be interested in Dawn's background, be interested in Max's background, be interested in them rather than you being interesting. And this is a huge mistake, because Dawn and I talked about this beforehand, and many times actually. One of our largest skills is listening and asking questions about the person in their life. And it might be boring, but on the legal side, it's our job to protect it, to help them understand what it is. And so we have to know how to be interested. And for introverts, it's wonderful because you never have to talk about yourself. Questions. Working well. So intensely curious, be a good listener, and I love this magazine. Stop asking So talk about as you build it, realize everyone you're working with is your network and you're building it. Nurture it, maintain it, appreciate it. People will forget what you said and they will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made it feel. Have heard that before. is where we talk about working. So the first way to do business, I think the easiest thing is to ask for business. It's called solicitation, which in the Code of Professional Responsibility isn't a good thing. We'll talk about it more in a minute. Asking for referrals. We'll talk about how to do that appropriately and marketing, advertising. What you do. So I'm going to flip through here quickly because I really want to get to some questions we'll get to a little bit later, but I want you to know that the Code of Professional Responsibility has rules on how you can get clients, how you solicit them in real time. You cannot solicit a person to be remarked earlier about the designer setting business with the criminal. Well, the criminal has these people come to me. If you do that, you can't talk anything about money. It's a karma thing. Do you want to talk about that at all, Dawn?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit. And I don't, Jane, you were sounding a little odd coming through, and I don't know if that's my computer or if other folks are having trouble hearing you. So if, Jessica, do wave if there's a problem and with either of us coming through.
Yeah, Dawn, I don't think it was your computer. I think we were all hearing, Jane, maybe your internet was patchy for a minute or so. I heard most of what you were saying, but there was a little bit of patchiness, unfortunately.
So this is important, and sometimes this leads to some difficult conversations. You know, some, and it's different in different areas of law. Folks who maybe are practicing in personal injury law, there's maybe a lot more fee sharing that goes on. But really, if an attorney is wanting to refer work to you and expecting to receive compensation as a result of that, there's very specific requirements. They are required to participate in the litigation. How different folks handle that, I guess they have to be at peace with their inner ethics czars, but I'm always very concerned about that. And so that's something that typically we are not involved in relationships with other attorneys where we're splitting fees, unless it was something where somebody was co-counseling a case with us. And if somebody didn't want to refer a client to us in that situation, that's a client we're okay not having.
Right. Okay. So there's a lot there, guys. I just wanted to raise the ethics issues. You're not even there yet, and you do have to take a class in professional responsibility now, don't you? Okay, so asking for a referral, just like we talked about knowing what type of law not to practice, it's really important to know what is not a good referral for you and what is a good referral for you. So there are rules on referring. As we talked, I put these slides in the wrong order. Okay. The cheapest and fastest way to get referrals from people is to market on social media. But there's a lot of rules and ethics on social media. Just because you're doing it on social media does not in the rules of professional conduct on there. So I'm just raising that issue for you so you can start keeping your eye on your social media. But the goal here is to learn math. Think before you speak, think before you post online. Who's going to read it? How long is it going to stay with you? Dawn, what do you think?
No, yeah, absolutely. And again, there was a little static coming through with you. This is important, and you need to make sure. I think Jade's point is spot on. Just because you're doing something on Facebook and it's short-lived doesn't mean you don't have to follow all the rules for all the professional responsibility rules regarding advertising.
Right. Okay. So we don't even have to talk about that one yet. None of you are practicing lawyers right now, so I'm going to just skip through this. Let's talk about wanting to be an estate planner. Is my sound any better?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm just leaning more forward. So first, get your own estate plan in order. So the cobbler without shoes, the plumber with a leaky faucet. You want to do estate planning? Get your own estate in order first. It'll be the best way to see if you like it, if it brings you satisfaction. So we talked about the word estate planning. We talked a little bit about elder law. There's different areas in estate planning. You need to know what those different areas are. For instance, I do estate planning, but I don't do elder law. And so first I refer to my husband who does elder law, and then we'd refer to Chris and Dawn for elder law. It has to do with Medicaid, Medicare, things I don't handle. being able to identify, Dawn and I don't think we see an asset where we don't go, okay, wait, is that probate or non-probate? Because you think very differently about every single asset someone says they have. So a probate asset is covered under the terms of your will, and the probate court determines who gets that asset. Non-probate assets go directly to the beneficiary named with no one else's involvement. And there's a lot of estate planning in how you think about life and the control you can take if you know how to distinguish that. Then we're going to talk about the basic documents that are estate planning, types of assets, so you can start looking at assets and realizing how you can title them differently, and then what you can do today. How are we on time? We're going to end on time.
We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
Basic estate planning documents, HIPAA waivers. One thing I love about Dawn and Chris and their firm and my husband and I, and what we do is we as estate planners do a separate HIPAA waiver. HIPAA, I'm guessing everyone knows about, with it's the Healthcare Portability Act. It came in 1996, and basically you have to waive medical entities the ability for them to share medical information with you. And the statute actually says you need a separate HIPAA waiver, and it is valid for 2 years after your death, truthfully. And so we do separate HIPAA waivers, but most estate planners or attorneys do it in the healthcare power, which is the next document, in the living will. In the state of Ohio, we have forms called advance directives that we use in the state of Ohio, but each state is in all states. A financial power of attorney, and a last will and testament. Dawn, you want to talk a little bit more? I'm not sure about our time.
I mean, right now, we're seeing a lot of folks who are wanting to have these documents in place in light of everything going on with COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
We thought these documents were important for a long time. A lot of other people are starting to realize we need them, and we need them now.
Right. We've been talking. I have clients who from 5 years ago, first it's urgent to them, and then they don't care and they don't get to the work. And now everything is urgent to them. So Dawn and her sister and my husband and I, my garage is currently a safe, socially distant signing area. And Dawn and Chris have set one up. We have our gallon jugs of things. We have a table for clients. We have our feet away so they can get their documents executed, because people are afraid they're going to end up in a hospital and no one can see them or talk to them. They're afraid they're going to die and not be able to handle things with their family. So the four of us are very busy right now on that issue. So that's a nice thing about estate planning, because we can help people feel more comfortable and in control. Right now, I don't know that there are people actually domestic relations is very busy right now. But some other areas of law, not so much. Assets, we just wanted to raise your awareness of assets and how we look at them, probate versus non-probate. Anything you can put your name on that gets titled, you can control whether that is a probate asset, a non-probate asset. Also, Ron, you're at home. Look at your bank accounts. How are they titled? Look at your brokerage accounts. Think about how your house is titled, your car, and retirement plans. Control things. If it's in your own name only, we didn't talk about that, did we? Go ahead, Dawn.
And Jade, the other thing I was going to say, this is something Jade and I both do, is we talk to all of our families about how these are documents that everyone who is over 18 should have in place. And sadly, there was a situation last year where a student was I think he had just graduated from case law school and passed away, and his family ended up having to deal with these very sad issues. So all of you should definitely work on getting some of these documents in place.
Right, for yourself and for your family. We cut out all examples because of time on it, and take care of this. If this makes you feel like you are helping people and you know what you're doing, estate planning is a great area to go in. But on the 18-year-old with the law student, my children are both over 18, both college grads and both employed, thankfully. But they turned 18, and I said, oh, happy birthday, honey. Sign here, sign here, sign here. Because the second they're 18, we can't talk to the doctors anymore. I can't handle their money. I can't do certain things. And so they signed that. And now that they're 23 and 24, they're like, okay, Mom, sign here. I need to be able to talk to your doctors. I need to be able to handle your So it'll come around and get you. So this is our hour on here on what we're doing. We want to thank the Metro Bar Association. The Cleveland Bar is just awesome. And Dawn and Jessica and Mary for inviting us, and for our tech man handling all of this. And I think that Jessica's going to share our contact information if you'd like it. And can we have a time for any questions?
Absolutely, we definitely have at least a few minutes. So if anyone has any questions, I'll pull up Jane and Dawn's contact information, but please feel free just to speak out.
All right. Audrey, anything? First year?
Yeah, I have a question. How did you learn the knowledge that you apply in your jobs? Like, because you both went to law school and then worked in kind of other areas and then decided to go into wills and estates. And I'm sorry if you answered this, my computer crashed in the middle of your presentation. But yeah, how did you sort of like learn what you need to know to do your jobs?
It's actually a great question because I've only done this area, so I can tell you about mine, but Dawn and Chris chose this area. So Dawn, why don't you take this?
Well, and it was very much a choice where we decided what area do we want to practice, and then we went whole hog. We did everything we could. We took all the continuing legal education programs we wanted. It was actually funny. We were both working at law firms that had memberships to these continuing legal education programs where you didn't pay individually if the firm was a member. And we're like, are they going to notice that we're taking continuing education on estate planning? They did not. And are they going to notice we're taking CLE on how to start your own small and solo firm? They did not. But then that's also where we're connecting up with the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, joining that Elder Council and the Wealth Council. Elder Council and Wealth Council both are organizations that, again, we pay a good amount to be members there, but they had dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of hours of recorded CLE training. And that's what we did. And after being in a different area of law, some people, even attorneys, are like, how could you go into a whole new area of law? And frankly, when I was at a firm, I did that all the time. You know, I'd be working as defending pharmaceutical companies, and then I was defending credit reporting companies, and those aren't the same areas. You would learn all new things. We just decided this is our new area, and we're going to learn it. And going forward, we're just going to keep learning it.
Gotcha.
But that was a good question. Thanks, Audrey.
It is a good question. Max, anything from you?
No, I think you guys kind of hit it on the head with that one. My main question, or I guess concern or hesitation, would just be about, getting that foundational understanding, education, and training, just to be able to, prepare different documents and, give clients different options and what laws and everything is applicable to them. But I guess it sounds like there's a lot of different opportunities out there. You can knock on doors. There are CLEs out there,
Right.
and various research databases online as well.
Yeah, Max, you have 3 firms behind you already, and I'm sure you have used all your good networking skills and interest in other people to learn about them, have them think, oh, this Max asks good questions. I'd be happy to talk to him. When I was a young lawyer, I offered to take so many people to lunch. Because first off, experienced lawyers, nobody takes them to lunch. So when the younger people want to take them to lunch, they go to lunch and they talk to you, and you can start asking questions and get a sense of things. And it goes back to the first slide. You're on your own, but you need a support system, but it's still all up to you. You got to go, like Dawn and Chris, they're both introverts, but they got up and they went out and now they run seminars and handle things, and they're well known and seen, so that they can make the money so they can relax and not be out in public all the time on there. But it is, like Audrey, your first year, I don't know if I had to do it again. I think I would have. I was at the bar, so I already had exposure to all the different areas of law. So that's weird. I don't know how to answer that question. So be involved in the bar.
Yeah, and I didn't even take wills and estates in law school. I had to learn it 3 different state bar exams, so I felt pretty good about that. But I loved property as well, and then I learned the rest that I've needed to know later. So
yeah, and real estate is a big deal. Knowing how to do that, and deeds, and people want their homes staying with their families, and or the assets going places.
I'll put in another plug for volunteering again, just in terms of meeting people and expanding your practice. Just for example, a couple of the areas, we have our volunteer lawyers for the arts, and I know we have people who started as law students you know, graduated, passed the bar, and are now volunteering as attorneys. And it might not be an area of law that they know much about, or we have people who sort of transitioned in their careers, but they learn from others through volunteering. And I always say volunteers are the most amazing people on the planet. So you get the chance to do really good work working alongside people who believe in things the same way that you do. And you get to show them the same sort of thing, your conscientiousness, your attention to detail, you know, your desire to help other people. So it shows you in a really good light as you give back opportunities. So I always plug volunteering. I really think it makes a good.
And another great volunteer opportunity are our brief advice clinics, and the Bar Association does a number of those. And you get to show up. You can we've hosted some brief advice clinics at the building that our office is in with the Bar Association and legal aid, and the law students have been great. They show up, they help with the intake, and then we'll often be able to have them sit with us as we're counseling the clients. And I think that's wonderful. So. Hope to see you.
Anecdotally, I definitely hear from many of our 3Rs volunteers that they hired somebody specifically who started on their 3Rs team as a law student, and then they graduated and they said, yes, I remember that person, that was great. And I know people have gotten hired through that.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Audrey and Max and Mary and Shmuel, who we missed, and you know, we're happy to answer other questions. Jessica will give us our information. Dawn, thank you so much for being
It's up in the chat box of everybody. If you go to the bottom of your screen where it says chat and you click on that, I've got email addresses for Jane, Dawn, and myself. And I don't believe I gave my title at the beginning. I'm Director of Community Programs at the bar. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to pass it on to another bar member or anything that I can help in.
Great. Thanks so much for running this.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you
so much.
Take care.
Everyone.
Have a great afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome, Max.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye, Mare.
Thank you, Jane.